What if the comfort of your own home turned into a trap, and the shadows outside your window weren't just figments of your imagination? This is the story of how a simple night at home became a terrifying fight for survival. I've always been a bit too trusting, the kind of person who leaves doors unlocked and windows open. My friends often warn me that my laid-back attitude could get me into trouble one day, but I never took their warnings seriously. Despite my easygoing nature, I have a deep-seated fear of being followed. The idea of someone tracking my every move, watching me when I'm unaware, has always sent chills down my spine. Little did I know, this fear would soon become a reality. One night I was home alone, unwinding after a long day at work. My apartment was quiet, and I decided to watch some TV. As the hours passed, I began to feel uneasy, like something was off. I brushed it aside, attributing it to the horror movie I was watching. Around midnight, I decided to go to bed. I locked the front door, but out of habit, I left the windows slightly open to let in the cool night air. I fell asleep quickly, but a noise woke me up in the middle of the night. I heard faint tapping sounds coming from the living room. My heart raced as I tried to convince myself it was just the wind. But the tapping continued, growing louder and more persistent. I grabbed my phone and slowly made my way to the living room, my hands trembling. As I approached, I noticed a shadow moving outside the window. I stopped in my tracks, my breath catching in my throat. The shadow seemed to be trying to peer inside, its movements slow and deliberate. I felt a wave of terror wash over me. I quickly dialed 911, my voice shaking as I whispered my address to the operator. The figure outside must have heard me, because suddenly there was a loud crash. The window shattered, and a man started climbing through. I screamed and ran to my bedroom, locking the door behind me. I could hear him moving through the apartment, searching for me. I hid in the closet, clutching my phone and trying to stay silent. The minutes felt like hours as I waited for the police to arrive. Finally, I heard sirens and the sound of officers entering the apartment. The police found the man hiding in my bathroom. He was arrested and taken away, but the terror I felt didn't leave with him. The officers took my statement and assured me that I had done the right thing by calling them immediately. They found tools in his backpack, indicating he had planned to break in and possibly harm me. The investigation revealed that the man had been stalking me for weeks, watching my every move. He had followed me home from work several times, noting my habits and the times I was alone. The realization that I had been under surveillance for so long was horrifying. With the intruder behind bars, I thought I could finally breathe easy. I installed new locks and security cameras, hoping to feel safe again. But every noise, every shadow, filled me with dread. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still being watched. A few weeks later, I received a call from the police. The man had escaped custody and was on the run. My heart sank, and I knew I had to be extra vigilant. I started staying with friends, and always made sure I wasn't alone. Even though the stalker was eventually recaptured, the fear he instilled in me never fully went away. It's a haunting reminder that danger can lurk in the most unexpected places, and sometimes our worst nightmares are closer than we think. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never let your guard down. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any real-life experiences you'd like to share, leave them in the comments below. Who knows? Your story might be the next one I tell. Until then, stay safe. Imagine coming home to find your roommate missing under mysterious circumstances. This story is a chilling reminder that sometimes the people we trust the most can disappear in the blink of an eye. I've always been a bit of a recluse, preferring the company of books and movies over socializing. My friends joke that I'm a hermit, always staying in my room and avoiding the outside world. It's a habit that has made me oblivious to my surroundings at times. Despite my love for solitude, I have a fear of being alone in a crisis. The idea of facing a dangerous situation without anyone to help terrifies me. I never thought this fear would become a reality in such a horrifying way. One evening I came home after a long day at work. My roommate Sarah usually greeted me when I walked in, but this time the apartment was eerily silent. I called out for her but got no response. Her room was dark, and her phone was left on the kitchen counter. I started to worry, but I tried to stay calm. Maybe she had gone out for a walk or run an errand. But as the hours passed and she still didn't return, my concern grew. I decided to check her room for any clues about where she might have gone. As I entered her room, I noticed it was unusually tidy, almost as if she had cleaned up before leaving. Her bed was made, and nothing seemed out of place. But then I saw it, her diary lying open on the desk. I knew it was wrong to read it, but I couldn't help myself. The last entry sent chills down my spine. It mentioned a man she had seen following her for the past few days. She wrote about feeling watched and being scared to go out alone. My heart pounded as I realized she might be in serious danger. I called the police, my voice shaking as I explained the situation. They arrived quickly and started searching the apartment and the surrounding area. They found no sign of forced entry or struggle, but the mention of a stalker in her diary made them take the case seriously. Days turned into weeks, and there was still no sign of Sarah. The police questioned neighbours and friends, but no one had seen her. The fear and uncertainty gnawed at me, making it hard to sleep or focus on anything else. The investigation continued, and the police uncovered some disturbing details. They found security footage of a man following Sarah on multiple occasions. He was seen near our apartment building several times, but his identity remained a mystery. The police increased their patrols in the area and advised me to be cautious. I started feeling paranoid, jumping at every noise and shadow. The thought of the stalker being out there, possibly watching me, was terrifying. One night, I heard a noise outside my window. My heart raced as I peered out and saw a figure standing in the shadows. I grabbed my phone and called the police, trying to stay calm. The figure moved closer, and I could see it was a man, matching the description of Sarah's stalker. The police arrived quickly and apprehended him. He was carrying a knife and rope, clearly planning to break in. Under interrogation, he confessed to following Sarah and kidnapping her. He led the police to a remote location where they found her, alive, but traumatized. Sarah's rescue brought relief, but the experience left a lasting impact on both of us. It's a haunting reminder that sometimes the real danger comes from those who hide in the shadows. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never let your guard down. Imagine you discovered someone had been living in your home without you knowing. This story is a terrifying reminder that sometimes the real horror is closer than we think. I've always been a procrastinator, putting off important tasks until the last minute. My friends joke that I'll be late to my own funeral because I can't manage my time. It's a habit that has caused me more trouble than I care to admit. Despite my tendency to procrastinate, I have a fear of being unprepared for emergencies. The thought of facing a dangerous situation without the proper tools or knowledge keeps me up at night. I never imagined this fear would come to life in such a horrific way. One evening, I was home alone, catching up on work I had been putting off. My housemates were out for the night, and I relished the quiet. As the night wore on, I started to hear strange noises coming from the basement. It sounded like something moving around down there. At first, I brushed it off, thinking it was just the house settling, but the noises grew louder and more persistent. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to check it out. I grabbed a flashlight and headed towards the basement door. As I descended the stairs, the air grew colder, and the noises became clearer. It sounded like shuffling and whispering. I shone my flashlight around, trying to see what was making the noise. My heart raced as I noticed a shadow move in the corner of the basement. I called out, hoping it was just my imagination, but there was no response. The shadow moved again, and I realized with a sinking feeling that I wasn't alone. I backed up slowly, my mind racing with fear. Suddenly, a figure lunged at me from the darkness. I screamed and swung the flashlight, hitting the person in the arm. He grunted and backed off, giving me a chance to run. I bolted up the stairs and slammed the basement door behind me, locking it. I called 911, my hands shaking as I tried to explain what had happened. The operator stayed on the line with me until the police arrived. They searched the basement and found a man hiding behind a pile of boxes. He was dirty and disheveled, clearly having lived down there for some time. The police arrested the man and took him away. They found a makeshift bed and a stash of stolen items hidden in the basement. It turned out he had been living there for weeks, entering and exiting through a broken window we had neglected to fix. The officers took my statement and assured me they would keep an eye on the area. They recommended we secure all windows and doors to prevent anyone else from sneaking in. The thought of someone living in our basement without us knowing was terrifying. We fixed the window and installed better locks, hoping to feel safe again. But the fear lingered. Every creak and groan of the house made me jump. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, even though the intruder was gone. I moved to a new apartment with better security, but the experience left a lasting mark. I became more vigilant, always checking my surroundings and making sure everything was secure. The fear never completely went away. Even though the intruder was gone, the memory of his presence remained. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the real horror is closer than we think. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never let your guard down.